Welcome to the Aboriginal channel. This episode will be another ARONAGATE. And in the previous video, we talked about how Paul Manafort right here, President Trump's former campaign chair, has been released from prison early and will serve out the rest of his sentence at home. Says that his lawyers recently request he get an early release amid the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic due to his age and health. So it says right here that he was scheduled to be released in November of 2024, but because he was 71 years old and has high blood pressure and all these other things, they let him out. Okay, we're gonna move over here to a guy named Michael Avenatti. Here it says Michael Avenatti, the celebrity attorney whose clients include adult film star Stormy Daniels, has been released from a New York jail as he begins a temporary reprieve from detention because of coronavirus pandemic fears. So he was let out due to his fears. But if we go over here and look at Michael Avenatti, the guy is 49 years old, so he's not within that older range. And if you look right here, he doesn't look unhealthy. So this man was released due to his fears. So not only did they let the man out, they let him fly all the way from New York to California. But right here inside of the article, it says right here that judge rules Rick Gates, remember Rick Gates was arrested with Paul Manafort, doesn't have to spend days in jail during coronavirus pandemic. So that's another one that doesn't have to do those weekend visits to the jail. The last person we're going to look at is Michael Cohen, who was released today. It says Michael Cohen, U.S. President Donald Trump's former personal attorney, returned to his New York home on Thursday, which was today, after being released early from a federal prison due to concerns of possible corona exposure. Now, the man is 53 years old, so he's not inside of that 65 and older range or the high risk range. But the thing I want to point out is that they're opening America back up. So it's kind of odd that they will let prisoners out of prison due to concerns of coronavirus, but they're letting people go back to work and go to the bars and restaurants. So the two don't go together. It would seem that if you're letting the public open back up, then you would stop being released into the public. But once again, the prison that Paul Manafort was at, it says right here, had no cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed at the prison. And then right here, Cohen, who was 53 years old, had completed about a year of a 3-year sentence for his role paying hush money to 2 women, one which happened to be Stormy Daniels. So they got the guy that was paying the money, the lawyer that he was giving the money to actually hand to the woman, which was Michael Avenatti. And not only did he pay hush money, he was also locked up for financial crimes and lying to Congress. So understand the move right here. To top it all off, you got the guy on CNN, Cuomo, and his brother, the governor of New York, making a joke of this whole thing. It says CNN's Cuomo pulls out massive cotton swab to tease brother. So if you just had thousands of people die from this, why would you be on national television making a joke out of it? And I'll leave you with this one. This morning, Trump said that as a result of one of his tests, he's administered tests daily for coronavirus, and as a result, they asked him about it, and he said, I tested very positively in another sense this morning. Yeah, I tested positively toward negative, right? So basically, that's a metaphor. He's using a metaphor to express an innuendo, because we know that Michael Cohen was released from prison today. And when you look him up on Wikipedia, it says that Michael Cohen was a vice president of the Trump Organization and the personal counsel to Trump, and was often described by media as Trump's fixer. So when he says that, as I tested very positively in another sense this morning, I know what he's talking about. He likes to tell you what's going on behind the scenes, or what happened behind the scenes, through metaphors and allegorical messages. I'll give you 2 past examples of him making these messages, these allegorical messages, as innuendos to past events. During one of his campaigns, while he was at a rally down in Tampa Bay, Florida, he told the people there that he works as hard as Abraham Lincoln, that Abraham Lincoln was a hard worker, and that he's more presidential than any other president in the history of the United States except for Abraham Lincoln. Now, we all know that Abraham Lincoln was a politician and he didn't do work. He sent the word to those who done the work. So he's using that as an allegorical message. Saying that in the state of Florida, and specifically in Tampa Bay, is a peculiar thing, because if you look on a map at the Civil War battle sites that happened in Florida, you'll see that Tampa Bay or Hillsborough County had battles there. And you know that the Seminole Wars took place in Florida all the way up until 1858. So there was not a political scene or enough Europeans in that state to want to go against the federal government, because the federal government had been there fighting the Indians for decades, while some white people lived behind what was called log forts until after the Civil War. Most of the counties in the state of Florida were made after the Civil War into the 1900s. So once again, he uses metaphors and allegorical message to relay innuendos about past and current events. When it said Michael Cohen was his fixer, that correlates back to him saying, I tested very positively in another sense this morning. Basically, this time he was the one that was actually able to fix something, right? Another time that he used the allegorical message was when referring to the U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He didn't want to say her whole name, so he said, I'll call her Cortez. And that's a reference to the conquistador who invaded Central and South America. So I'll leave you with this right here on Donald Trump's quotes. He says, I'm a bit of a P.T. Barnum. I make stars out of everyone. Now, P.T. Barnum, you know, that's the circus guy. When you look him up and look at a timeline right here, says that in 1843, Barnum hired the Native American dancer Fu Han Mi, the first of many First Nations people whom he presented. And then by 1846, Barnum's museum was drawing over 400,000 visitors a year. Through the history books, which has all been a lie. So therefore, if it's a lie, then what's the truth? If it's a lie, then what's